Hi, this is Rachel at Tarot Dreams, and I believe that there are signs and synchronicities in our daily lives that are meant to provide us with a deeper understanding on our spiritual path and guide us in this experience. I'd like to share some of my insight and messages that I've received through intuition, dreams, foresight, and various channeled energies. Thank you so much for visiting my platform, and just know that I appreciate and love you all. And I appreciate all the likes and the subscribes for future notifications. Thank you. At the time of this recording, it is the August 19th. The full moon, the sturgeon moon, the blue moon. It is a supermoon, so it'll be closer. I'm reminded of the judgment card. That's the feeling that I'm getting. It's an awakening. It's an arising. It's an awareness that will bring about change. That's the energy that I'm getting around this moon, is the awakening and the awareness. Now, this week I've seen, or I should say within the last couple days, I have seen the rune Ingus, and that is fertility. It's almost like, how can you describe it? It's when things come alive again. It's the stage of the butterfly where they've already come out of the cocoon and they're still kind of moist. It's a new beginning. It's a freshness is what Ingus really relays. It's also akin to the moon and intuition. And I feel that the perception that people will feel, either from the 18th and for a few more days, their intuition will be more awakened and they'll be more aware, more so than what they normally are. Now, I also seen a deer, and the deer was bedded. It was laying down in the grass, and it had a wreath around its head, which also is a symbolism of spring and fertility. It's when things come alive. So I'm thinking that whatever change comes about with this moon, it will set us off in a new direction. We will have to look at things differently, and I believe that we will start to see things turn more in a favorable light come the spring. That is what I'm getting. Or it will be what seed you plant it with will sprout come the spring. So that's kind of the energy that I'm getting. I also seen bells, and bells represent a beginning and an end, birth. Once again, we're getting into that fertility energy here. So it's something that's being planted. It's something that's at the beginning. It's the fertile ground. Something it's a birth. It's a, for bells, it can be a birth. It signifies birth, marriage, death. It even signifies war. The bells of war. So, I got bells, and then I got Samuel, and I felt that it was the book of Samuel. Now, I'm not familiar with Samuel, so I was a little bit shocked to discover that it was Samuel 1 and 2 chronicles the lives of David. And we've all heard Mr. T likened to David, the hand of God, the king. And if you actually read David's story, it actually does relate to Mr. T. So I was a little bit surprised about that. But when David lost favor with God, he did redeem himself in God's eyes. And because he had bedded somebody else's wife, Bathsheba, I believe it was. In any event, he started off, he was just a servant, and then he slayed Goliath, and then he became a servant to King Saul. But then Saul got jealous because of all the battles and everything that was being won and tried to kill him, but he failed. So what had ended up happening was he himself was killed. The king was. And then David became king. So I'm seeing the parallels of what we may witness. And once again, I want to say that we are in a year of 8, which is balance and karma. And if you want to say karma, it is also a return to sender energy, which I'm getting. And everything that is done leaves that residue. So I touched on that the last recording. I also touched on the 17th through the 19th. And I also touched on what had happened in Japan. Now, Japan weighs heavy on my mind all the time, and I had made a connection with Russia, and I said it was either the island on the closest to Russia, or it was they were going to be first with humanitarian aid. I said I didn't know. I just had a connection of Russia. Well, as I said before, I can only work with what Spirit gives me, and how I decipher it may not always be accurate. Well, what ended up happening was on the 17th, Russia had a 7.0 earthquake. And it was, I believe there was a typhoon or some warning also issued to the islands of Hawaii, but it was lifted. Well, on the 18th, there was a volcano that erupted close to Russia. So the 17th and 18th. Now the 19th, with this energy, as I stated, there's going to be something, an event, that is going to change the way that we look at things. On a world stage, it could be whatever that energy is, it's could filter into our personal lives. So we may have to alter the way that we looked at things before. So just keep that in mind. And as our personal energy, we may have to change things, or the way we proceed, we may start to do things differently. So then I wanted to just touch on, I also seen cowboys. Now, cowboys to me represents ranchers, farmers, wrangling, and they kind of behold to their own kind of set of morals and codes. But I also liken cowboys to Texas. So I'm looking to see what kind of news is going to be coming out of Texas, possibly with the ranchers or the farmers, or I'm not really sure. But Texas is what I'm thinking we're going to hear some news from. Now, I also seen where we have, I was seeing like tigers protecting their cubs. I seen bees, which are hardworking. The family, once again, a family unit, strength and protecting the family. They're very protective of their family. So I was getting that vibration as well. For some of us, maybe doubling down on, ways to be prepared and protecting our family. Those were just energies that I was picking up. It's something that we probably already do. Now, the last thing I got, and I'll just throw this out there, was I got a blip of Ozzy Osbourne. Now, I'm not sure what it meant. It could mean that we might hear news from his family or about his family. When I think of his songs, he's got such an array of songs. It's hard to say, but, War Pigs is one of the ones with Sabbath that he was, that I am familiar with as well. But I only seen Ozzy, and he had those glasses on, so I'm not really sure, but I think it may end up being news. And once again, I've got the bell imagery coming. But that's basically all I've got in the last couple of days. So I haven't got any elaboration on it. I just keep seeing like the judgment card, and I keep seeing Ingus, the rune, and the fertility symbols. So I'm just thinking that the ground is being prepped. We are being prepared. And I think we will see the fruits of whatever our projects and our creativity, that energy that we use to counter whatever is coming, our way. We always want to work with the creative energy. When we work with the creative energy, it negates all that negative energy. So we really want to get into being creative and starting new ventures. I realize that we're still in the retrograde and we're being reflective and nostalgic, but it doesn't stop us from being creative and, setting forth with that type of energy. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that here. I didn't want to make this a long video, and I made sure that I cleansed the energy and have been pushing everything back right now. But you might want to look into the books of Samuel 1 and 2. You might glean a little more insight on how it actually relates to Mr. T's life and what could possibly happen. And once again, remember, we're in an 8th year, which is a return to sender year. It's also harmony and balance being restored. And in order to restore balance, sometimes you have to shake things up because it was not where it belonged in order to even those scales out again. So I'm going to go ahead and end that here, and I appreciate you all. And if you're still here, thumbs up. Thank you so much.